Well, hello, everyone. Dr. Lisa Faast with Diversify RX, and we've got a great episode of Becoming a Pharmacy Badass. If you've been following me for any length of time, you've probably heard me talking about managing your inventory. Keeping your inventory as low as possible is one of the best ways to improve your cash flow, because we are definitely all talking about cash flow these days with the DIR fee apocalypse coming up in January. We are focusing hard not only with our members, but with just the public independent pharmacy owners at large of talking about how to improve your cash flow. It's just really top of mind. And I think just the number one thing that pharmacy owners need to be chatting with about and learning about. And so today we are chatting with Johnny Kello from MatchRx. And, you know, MatchRx has been around for a really long time, and you kind of start to think that just everybody knows about them and the benefits of using them. But I've ran into pharmacy owners, and usually new pharmacy owners that are opening their first pharmacy, and they just haven't heard about MatchRx. And so I'm really excited to bring my audience and bring my listeners in to learn about MatchRx and how it can help you with that ultra crucial managing your inventory so that you can free up cash, you know, to pay payroll, to pay your wholesaler bill, pay your rent, all those other things that we need cash for in a pharmacy. So first of all, thank you, Johnny, for joining and sharing your wisdom and expertise. Can you go ahead and introduce MatchRx and yourself to our audience for someone who may not be familiar with who you are and what you do?
Sure. Well, first of all, Lisa, thanks for having us on. On behalf of myself, along with our 40 team members, we're excited to be part of Pharmacy Badass. We love you. We always follow you, and we love what you're doing for independent pharmacies.
Thank you.
As far as MatchRx goes, as Lisa mentioned, we launched back in February of 2010. My business partner, Gabe Zaweda, is a pharmacist. His mother, father, and 3 siblings are all independent pharmacists. So he never had a choice but to become an independent pharmacist. And so Gabe and I collaborated on forming MatchRx, brought together a great group of people. We started with 3 pharmacies, Gabe's family's pharmacies, and then we've grown now to 36 states, and we're in about 36 states, and we have about 7,000 independent pharmacies that use our platform. So excited about that. What we do is we are a marketplace for the independent to allow them to buy and sell their non-controlled, non-expired drugs with one another. And this all stemmed from, you know, Gabe's experience in the pharmacy space, and he always had extra drugs. And we're talking about that bottom 20%, the slower moving drugs that, you know, if one patient couldn't take it, there wasn't another patient that they could, dispense it to. So prior to this, you know, you'd either have the reverse distributor option, which is still out there, or calling a bunch of friends trying to figure out who might want an extra product that you have. And so obviously the inefficiencies of that were great. And so being stuck with what we estimated over time about $50,000 on average for each independent pharmacist that has sitting on their shelves that hasn't been dispensed in over 6 months. And so what do you do with that? So again, you wait for expiration, and then you do the old pack and pray, right? You send it back to the reverse distributor, and you hope you get something, or you do, but not always what you expect. And with our platform, we said, okay, let's make it simple. Let's allow pharmacists to be able to sell on the site, but also make sure that it's not a site to be used for a wholesaling or arbitrage where you can sell it above WAC. So we've got a lot of guardrails in place. One is you can't sell it more than 91% of existing WAC. So you're always buying at a discount. So that's number one. Number two, it's got to be in its original container, visible lot number, visible expiration date. The whole package has got to be its original. And we limit how many products of a certain NDC can be sold. And I can go on and on with the guardrails, and we can talk about those in a little while. But the gist of what we started and where we're at, we've been really happy with how we've been embraced by the community. We've done in excess of 1 million transactions on MatchRx, and we have, really adhered to, and we've sat with and at the FDA table as it relates to the coming DSCSA implementation for track and trace and serialization.
Yeah, so I mean, the way that I've always thought about it is you're a matchmaker in pharmacies. I mean, that's kind of like the MatchRx, like you match sellers with buyers. And, this is one that I think it's good on so many levels. We always talk about supply chain issues and all these kinds of things and how much drugs are just wasted, all of the effort of manufacturing and the cost and the pharmacy. And then it's just like leaky dollars in our healthcare system when you just said it. You have to wait for it to sit on the shelf, for it to expire, and and then you return it. And I love that pack and pray. I'm so going to steal that in hopes of getting some credit. But it's like that drug can be used. It can be used somewhere else and probably by someone else, just not by your patients. And so it's like, to me, it's just a good use of like our global healthcare dollars. If we can get those medications moved over to a pharmacy that, can use it. So the number one question that I get about MatchRx is, can I use it? And I know that's a really loaded question because it's more than just a simple yes or no answer because there's a lot of legality in there. But can you give, for anybody listening that says, yeah, I have some unused inventory that I can't return to the wholesaler because it's either past the wholesaler guidelines or it's an open bottle or something like that, but it's still in the original bottle. And I'd really like to not wait until it's expired to just maybe, like you said, pack and pray and hope to get something from it. So what are those general guidelines for you can, tell our listeners of, can they use MatchRx?
Yeah. Well, I guess, first of all, we operate in 36 states because those are the states that allow interstate transactions to occur. Still have to follow the guidelines of the DSCSA, which is when they're buying it, it's got to be for a specific patient need. Okay. And then we've got all the other guardrail rules. But the easiest way to, understand if can you use it is contact us. Shoot us an email, info@matchrx.com. We'll respond right away. Or if you go through the registration process, you'll either get blocked and stopped and say, we don't operate in your state, but we will let you know when we do. Or obviously it'll continue to down the registration flow to continue that process. So the easiest way, shoot us an email. We'll let you know right away and then go through that. We've got a full team of customer service and sales, ready for you.
Yeah, and I know you guys have said, you worked with the FDA, and I know you guys have sat down with a lot of state boards of pharmacies to make sure that you're, have open communication, that you're following the rules. You guys have expanded your states over the years. You've actually convinced some states to update their laws to kind of allow for your guys' operations. So just because you may not, be in a state that doesn't allow it today does not mean that maybe in the future it will not. And I think, you've mentioned the CSA a few times, and obviously that's coming into play. And as, states adopt those rules, and obviously you guys are compliant, I think you guys might be able to expand more as everybody kind of gets on the same page of like, how to legally procure drugs, which I think, obviously is important for all of us. And so for that typical pharmacy owner that calls you guys up, that typical independent that, does 200 scripts a day, open, 23 days a month, how much of their inventory, like what is the typical posting? Are they selling 5 bottles a month? Are they selling 10 bottles a month? What kind of usage do you guys see? Like, because we're obviously talking about cash flow. We're talking about managing inventory. Basically, what is that financial impact do you guys see for your customers that, working the system and using your guys' platform, what kind of money does it put back in the owner's pocket?
Again, another good question. I mean, so there's certain states that we happen, we average them out by state, but if we were to type all our states across the board, you're talking about on average, our annual savings is north of $23,000 on average per year. But there's certain, players that are in the marketplace that just have, higher product, more business, more products to sell and what have you. And then obviously on the purchase side, more products to purchase and save. So we've got folks that are saving $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year easily. And there's a lot of those folks. But I would say on average, around 23, 25,000, and that scales differently according to states. And I can't explain to you why that happens according to state. Again, there are some more densely populated states, like say New York, for example, that has a higher volume per store, and that causes that to skew up. But it's real savings. It's not hard to use. So we always tell people, look, if you really want to use this and you don't want to actually be the person using it, we can teach your pharmacy tech in a 30-minute, 15-minute, 10-minute sessions. Just depends on how in depth you want to get into using it. But if you had a pharmacy tech contact us, we can train them in literally 15 minutes on how to use the site. It's so simple. And the fact that you've delegated that authority to somebody who can, take what they've got and really save, their whole entire year's salary on them using it. And I'm embellishing this, like literally 5 minutes a day. This is what it takes. It takes 5-10 minutes a day, or 3-4 times a week, depends on what you want. In terms of sales also, again, we encourage people to post as much as possible. So we'll get somewhere between, on the initial set of postings, 20 to 40 NDCs posted on the site, okay? Once they've got it through that first allotment, then you might see, 5 to 10 to 15 a month being posted, just overstock, as they continue to, cleanse through their inventory. You're always finding products. You're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to run a report. I'm going to run a usage report. Okay, I can look at all the products and all the NDCs that I haven't dispensed in the past 3 months. Well, let me review these and say, okay, I got to get these on MatchRx, or I'm going to just sit on these for a long time.
Yep, I think you guys actually pair really beautifully with Data Rhythm, who's like an inventory management software. As in my pharmacy, inventory, we got that under control, and we lost a lot of inventory weight. And then, we started focusing on some other things. And I noticed in my, Data Rhythm report that it had creeped up again. And so I went into it, and we have a lot of partial bottles that have not been used in months. And I immediately said to myself, like, we need to get on MatchRx and sell these, because we don't, in our groups, a couple of our pharmacies are near our other pharmacies in our group. And so we can kind of share inventory there. But then we have some outliers that, they're not really around anybody else. And so we have to use a public platform like yours in order to be able to try to get rid of that inventory. And I think a lot of that starts to happen when patients change pharmacies a lot at the beginning of the year because of insurances. Yep. We all know that. And then by the time you get around to right around now, like in May, it's like all the systems are starting to pick up that, hey, you haven't dispensed this drug in a while, like you might want to, look at this. And so I think that's kind of what has happened, is inventory that was good last year sitting on our shelf is not so good this year, because patients have changed, or they've changed coverage, or those kinds of things beyond your control that you can't. And so I would highly encourage you, if you're looking at this, if you use a system like Data Rhythm, there's a great, unused inventory report in there that can basically let you know exactly what you need to post on MatchRx. Many PMS softwares also have these built-in reports of like inventory management. And it's kind of like, hey, here's what you need to go pull off your shelf, verify it, and then put it up on MatchRx. And it's very, like you said, it's very simple to use. A technician, a clerk, it does not need to be, a pharmacist or the pharmacy owner doing this. It is really straightforward. You just enter the information, fill it out, post it up there, and so it is fairly simple. And I think you can manage it. Like I have my inventory tech, our lead tech, once a week, like just managing it on a weekly basis seems to work really well for us. Obviously, if you're a busier store or something like that, you might need to do it multiple times, but I think it's very manageable. And we definitely have our technicians focus on that. Our pharmacist doesn't get on at all. So I think that's a really big benefit. Anything else in terms of MatchRx, in terms of posting and selling? If somebody wants to buy, is it the same process of selling? Because I've really looked on there mostly to sell, but if anybody is interested in buying, is it the same kind of process that they go through?
Yeah. So once you register, you're able to buy or sell on the site. And so we sell 80% of the products that get posted on our site. There's a huge demand for product constantly on our site. So I think that if you've got a product and it's within reason and you price it within reason, it'll sell at MatchRx. The marketplace, we've been fortunate enough to really grow it to a large enough audience that we've been able to create a equilibrium between buyers and sellers. And that's the, probably the toughest part in creating a marketplace is trying to find both a balance of both buyers and sellers. I think we've gotten there. We're constantly seeing new and more products on our site daily, and they get swept up. There's a great, healthy buying ecosystem there. So if you're looking for something, you can put it on your wish list. If it's on your wish list and it gets posted and it's still available by the next morning, you'll get an email that says, hey, Lisa, here's the products that are on your wish list, and they're available on MatchRx right now. So you don't have to just sit there always looking for them. Or you can filter through, I want to only see my wish list items that are available on the marketplace. So if you buy something, we put it on your wish list for you, because knowing that if you buy it once, you're probably going to buy it again or want to buy it again. Or number two, you can freely go through products and know that there's certain NBCs that your patients are always looking for that you can put on your wish list and go, okay, when it's available, and I know I've got a specific patient need for it, I'll go ahead and execute on that. So we've made it really simple, and it took us 13 years, and it's probably going to take us another 13 to keep on improving it. But overall, I will say that you can get trained on this. And you technically, do you need training? No, because it really is that simple. But really, to get the full benefit of it, I think a 15-minute session with one of our sales team members and customer service folks will go a long way for either you or your tech or your clerk. Again, like Lisa said, you don't have to be the one using this to take full advantage of this. It's a big, easy.
Yep, absolutely. And every once in a while when you're shopping on there, it's kind of a little bit like shopping at an outlet store. You see just the steal of a buy. Somebody will accidentally have labeled something and then the patient didn't get it, so now they can't return it, and it's like, oh yes, I want to grab that. So it is also a little bit of treasure hunting a little bit. You do find some treasures on there that you're like, I can't believe I'm able to get this. So you get that little dopamine hit when you find those. So for all of our people that are listening, say again your website where they can go. And I will say, right when you go to their website and you start the process and you say, like, I think it's like enter as a pharmacy or something, like puts in your state, like you'll know right away on that decision tree, like you'll be able to know if you're in most of the states that allow you or in the few that still don't. So what is that website again?
Simple, www.matchrx.com. And if you have any questions or you just want to reach out and touch base with us, it's 248-971-0909. And we have live customer service. You're not going to get a computer. You'll get somebody who answers the phone immediately, and they will generally address your question right on the spot.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So, well, thank you so much, Johnny. You guys are doing such amazing things for independent pharmacies. You got the MatchRx side that is really helping manage inventory, reduce cost of goods, help improve that cash flow, which is just ultra extra critical right now in like the next 18 months. You guys also have your sister company, Match Square, which has cool, sexy, like high in demand over-the-counter products. So if you haven't checked out Match Square, I highly recommend it. It can really revamp your front end and really bring in that additional cash-based revenue. So just thank you for all you guys do. You guys do so much great stuff, and you're just a really good friend of independent pharmacy. And I greatly appreciate it. And I know many of our listeners do too. So thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. Thanks for having us on. We appreciate it. And again, look forward to more of these.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.